Hi. So, making a slip stitch or slip knot, you so you feel for the end of your yarn here, and then you wrap it around 2 fingers to kind of give you a big enough loop, and then you pinch the part where where the end and then longer part meet, so so you have a circle or a loop, and you reach through the loop and while you're pinching this yarn closed, and you pick up the longer part while it's still attached, the part that's still attached to the ball of yarn, and you pull just while you're making sure that the tail end doesn't pull through along with it, so that way you got your slip knot. So then you could kind of feel where the tail end is, and then the longer part is, and where the loop is, and then you can feel for your hook and slip that through the loop. And then you put your hook through, and I'm gonna have to unfortunately teach you right-handed. I don't know if you're right or left-handed, but it's probably, you might have to switch it around if you are left-handed. But for me, holding the hook in my right hand, and I could feel for the tail end of the yarn in my right hand. So I'm holding it kind of like like when you hold a butter knife, and some people hold it like a pencil, but I feel like this is more comfortable. But so I'm holding the hook in my right hand with the tail end of the yarn, hold it together, and then you can feel the loop on the hook, and then you can feel for the little knot too. When you have it pulled tight, you just kind of make sure that it's not like too tight, because you want to be able to slip in and out of the loop. So easiest probably way is for you is where you could feel the end of the hook and the longer part of the yarn. So you want to, I usually call it yarn over, but it's really, you're just wrapping the yarn around the hook, so that way you could pull the yarn with, so the yarn is under the hook, and you could pull the yarn through the loop. And then once you do that, you could kind of feel that there is a loop, like or done at the end of the chain here, and then you could feel on the hook there's another like loop. So you got one finished loop, and then you got one on the hook, and then you could do it again where you just wrap your yarn around the hook or yarn over, and then you're using the hook to pull the yarn through the loop. And then once you do that again, then you could feel 2 loops on there. 2 loops at the end, and then one loop wrapped around the hook. And then when you keep doing that, yarn over, pull through, and you keep, with your right hand, you keep holding on to the to where your chain is, and that way to kind of control the tension and get an idea where everything is. So yeah, you yarn over, pull through, and you yarn over, pull through, and you keep doing that till you get the chain as long as you want it. So if you were doing something like a scarf, be like it, you starting out with the basics. That's how I first learned. You kind of get the idea. You go for as long as you want the scarf's width, and usually that's about 25 stitches depending on the size of your hook. So like standard would be like 6 millimeters or 6.5 millimeter sized hook, or like a J hook, I guess, depending on the brand. And so if you count like 25, a chain of 25, then to do the second roll, what you would do then is Okay, so this would be a single stitch is what it'd be called. So you have the loop on your hook, and then you could feel that there's like a chain right next to it, and then you want to skip that chain but go to the second one, because that way you have room to move your hook into the second loop. A lot of times people call it like a turning chain. So you feel for that, and then you put your hook through that loop, and then once you do that, you could feel 2 loops on your hook. And once you feel the 2 loops on your hook, you kind of hold that with your right hand just to kind of hold it in place. And so what makes it easier for me when I'm going on the second row is to yarn under instead of over. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some people think it matters that it looks a little different, but it doesn't really seem much different to me. But it just feels easier to get the yarn through on the second roll, so you're wrapping it around in a different direction is all it is. But so I yarn under this time and wrap it around in the opposite direction just to get the yarn to pull through that loop. And then once I pull it through the loop, there will be 2 loops on this hook, and I would wrap it around again and then pull through that yarn. Now it's interesting because with these 2 loops on here, it's a lot of times I end up going in the opposite direction again to wrap around just because it's easier for me. It's the way the position it is in your your hands and the yarn, the direction it goes. Sometimes it's easier to wrap it around your hook in the other direction, counterclockwise than clockwise, but you'll kind of feel like this. So there's the 2 loops on here, and then I'm yarning over and then pulling that yarn through the 2 loops, and then when then I got my first stitch, and then I would take my hook and go into the next loop on the chain. And then when I'm going into the next loop on the chain, to pull the yarn through, this is where it's easier for me to yarn under. And that's basically, I guess that would be if, for me, that would technically be like clockwise, I think. Yeah. So yeah, and then I would yarn under, and pull the yarn through that loop, and then I yarn over, and then pull that yarn through both loops. A lot of people do it. Some people do it different, but that's the way how I do it. I kind of alternate just because it feels easier on in the rhythm that I go on my hands and stuff. So, but if you have someone that could see the video, then they can probably or hopefully help you see what I'm doing, zoomed in and everything, and see if they could kind of help you feel for what I'm talking about. But yeah, and you would just keep going. You put your hook through the next loop on the chain, and then yarn under, and then pull through. Oh, whoops, I already did. Yeah. Okay, yarn under, pull through, and then wrap yarn over, and then pull through. So you just keep doing that all along, and then on the third row, it's the same exact thing as the second, and so forth. So hopefully, the basics, hopefully that'll help you out with at least the basics and to get you started. Otherwise, good luck. I wish you the best. It takes a lot of practice. It took me a long time to to figure it out, because yeah, I'm also a visual learner and it could be difficult. But all right, have a good one. Take care.